the center of Lancaster for the second straight evening. Baseball will continue. Good evening, everyone. Along with Chad Landers, Dave Collins with you as the Barnstormers entertain the High Point Rockers. A single game tonight after last night's scheduled doubleheader did begin at 6 o'clock, but it ended at 1:15 in the morning with a couple of fairly long games and a 1 hour, 43-minute rain delay in between. But baseball there is tonight. Jonathan Albaladejo on the mound trying to cool off the High Point Rockers, and somebody trying to spark the Lancaster Barnstormers, who have lost their last 7 games. They have started the second half 0-5, and the Barnstormers have been outscored 47-14 in that span. Starting lineup for the High Point Rockers here this evening, and Steven Cardullo, a guy who has given the Barnstormers fits 3 times, including the first game of the doubleheader last night. He has led off with a home run against the Barnstormers. That is a lot in one season, let alone one season against one ball club. It's a very solid lineup, as the Barnstormers have found out not just last night, but the 12 previous games, 10 have been won by the High Point Rockers. The Barnstormers still looking for a permanent solution to second base, with Dan Gamache going to the Oakland A's earlier in the week. Josh Bell will get the start there tonight. That question will be answered as soon as the Barnstormers have Melvin Mercedes ready to come off the disabled list. He will take over at the second base spot. Albaladejo on the hill tonight, and he's asking for some more repair work on the mound. 6'5" veteran right-hander, a former New York Yankee, Washington National, and Arizona Diamondback, who, like everybody else in the starting rotation, is struggling to get wins here in 2019. The Barnstormers overall are 24-50. The starting rotation is 14-39. But it is not specifically their fault. They have thrown 26 quality starts, which isn't a high number, but that should translate into roughly 26 wins, and it has not done so.
Well, Lancaster hoping to get something going here tonight. Hopefully I can bring them some good luck from the mound. Oh, just a bit outside, Dave. What do you think?
You might have hit a batter. You might have hit a right-handed batter.
Well, maybe they should do that to the leadoff guy for the Rockers, because he keeps hitting home runs.
Buddy Bauman did in High Point. True story.
That's funny.
Will not say if he had any intent to do it whatsoever. Michael Martinez getting another start at shortstop for the Barnstormers. His season has gone well. So much fun to watch in the field. A veteran, former Philly. The Barnstormers are just looking for a winning combination. And Ross Peebles, Troy Steffi, you see there, David Ruckert, the coaching staff is pulling its hair out, trying to figure out what combination is going to work for this ball club. Albaladejo has turned in 2 of his best starts this year against High Point. He's pitched very well against them. He's 0-2. High Point's outscored the Barnstormers in those games 13-3, but it hasn't been Albie. He's given up just 3 earned runs in 10 2/3 innings. He hasn't walked anybody. He has struck out 12 against the Rockers. Most of the damage has been done against the bullpen later on, and he has gotten very little run support.
Yeah, not much support coming from the bats in those games, it sounds like. And unfortunately, last night in the second doubleheader, that 2-0 loss, only 2 hits in that game, so not much support from the bats there either, Dave.
Every other game lately, the Barnstormers have been shut out. The offense has lagged behind. We've had 5 games now in the month of July where the club has not had an extra base hit in the game, and nobody can understand with this lineup why the offense is struggling as much as it is. So here is Cardullo. Last night he barely fouled off an off-speed pitch from Nate Reed at 2-2, and then the next pitch he connected and put onto the hillside out in left field. He has 6 of his 11 home runs at Lancaster's expense. Albie misses inside, says Buzz Albert. It's ball 1 and no strikes. I asked Steven last night why number 65, and it was the number he was assigned when he went to the Colorado Rockies on his first call-up.
I was thinking the same thing. That's a pretty big number, just in general for a baseball player, let alone a position guy.
You see a number like that, you know it's specially ordered for somebody, and it has a special meaning. Fouled at the plate. Albaladejo gets ahead of the ball in 2 strikes. Aaron Eggleston, who was an outfielder for the Somerset Patriots for several years, wore number 91, and I believe it's that his mother passed away on September 1st. I think that was the meaning for Eggleston.
I like that.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The offering is low. It gets away from Parker Moore, and Cardullo could have run.
You got to jump on those now, right, Dave? Because the new rule with the Atlantic League and Major League Baseball, if that gets away, that guy could take off. Now, this guy is used to hitting home runs from the leadoff spot, so probably not going to elect to take off. But that was a situation where he could have.
Under the new rules, we've seen it done once. It was costly to the Barnstormers on Saturday and benefited the Atlantic League and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs greatly for all the publicity it generated. 2-2 is chipped foul out of play for Cardullo.
Have you gotten an official word on what's the breaking point between someone kind of, offering to go and not, where's that line? So, oh, no, you attempted. No, you didn't attempt. What is that line?
I believe that it's umpire's discretion.
Okay, there's a lot of gray area for that.
Here's a 2-2, bouncing ball, pulled foul. Cardullo takes this at bat to pitch number 7.
How far down the first baseline does he have to get until,
I think you have to make a serious step.
Okay.
It's Giovanni Alfonso making a friend in the seats. 2-2 on Cardullo. He's hit .357 in the season series. That is line past Terdoslavich and a base hit out the left. Cardullo again fighting off some tough pitches. He's aboard with the lead slammed out the left center field. Racing back on it is Applin. He won't get to it. This is going to be a run for the High Point Rockers. Somewhat gingerly coming around is Cardullo. He'll score on the Russell double, and the High Point Rockers are off and running once again.
Well, a nice piece of hitting there, just crushes that into the gap. No chance for Applin out there, and 2 pretty good swings for the Rockers offense. Now, of course, Dave, in game 1 last night, you saw this. They had 17 hits in that game, so clearly picking up quite where they left off there.
The only time since the All-Star break that the Barnstormers did not give up a 4 or more run inning was the second game of the doubleheader last night, which was lost 2-0. Here you've already got a run home. On at second base, Russell with his 5th double, his 5th run batted in. Tyler Ladendorf, who also had 4 hits in game 1 last night, stands in the box. The pitch to him is high and tight from Albie. It is ball 1 and no strikes. And the Barnstormers with a doubleheader coming up on Friday, coming off a doubleheader last night. Ross certainly isn't going to want to go to his bullpen early.
No, there was, in that second game, only a handful of guys, so they didn't exhaust it too much. But I'm sure there was quite a many in that first game.
Foul back, it's 1-1 with Jared Lakin through long, and he's got his turn coming back up. He and Garrett Granitz are going to split the doubleheader on Friday night against the Long Island Ducks.
That'll be a tough series up there, too.
Coming out of the All-Star break and having 3 doubleheaders in 8 days has not exactly been advantageous to the Barnstormers trying to get on track for a second half run. Breaking ball is low, 2-1, especially at the awkward way in which the half started, with the first game of the second half being the second game of a doubleheader.
Oh,
at Southern Maryland last Friday night.
So the first game was still part of the first half?
The first game was still part of the first half.
Okay. Yeah, the schedule's been kind of weird for the Barnstormers this year, unfortunately for them.
Here's a 2-1. Ladendorf takes ball 3 outside and low. Albaladeo is yet to get an out. Barnstormers starting pitchers with an ERA for the season of nearly 5.3. And the bullpen's 4.7.
It's just been kind of a rough season for the guys on the mound this year.
3-1. That finds its way off speed from Albaladeo.
I know you guys were excited that Nate Reed was back yesterday. Just didn't quite go his way.
And I talked to the coaching staff afterwards. I talked to Buddy Bauman up here. Nate actually had his stuff, but he wasn't locating very well. It was the first time he'd taken the mound in 10 months.
So you just toss that in the trash and go start number 2.
The payoff is strike 3 on the outside corner. Ladendorf thought he had the walk. Buzz Albert didn't think so. Big first out as Albaladeo can get his feet wet in this ball game. Of course, he gets just step on the apron in front of the third base dugout. He'd get his feet wet too. But
you know what, Dave? That's a borderline strike, and I'd love for this to be the time where we could have that stat cast where you could see, was it a strike, was it a ball, and compare notes there, which is something that's coming to the Atlantic League very quickly.
Well, coming to the Atlantic League very quickly, that call would have been decided by radar and not by Buzz Albert.
Sure.
I check every day to see if it's in place. It is not tonight.
Okay.
I am told by the next homestand it should be.
And we will have the broadcast Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. So I'm excited. I hope we get a chance to see that firsthand. And, of course, all the fans and viewers as well.
A one pitch right there. Second strike on Lattimore from the Riley veteran, the player coach of the Barnstormers, Jonathan Albaladeo.
Big lead out at second there for Russell. Keep an eye on him. He's been getting a nice secondary lead. Anything in the outfield going to score here.
Josh Bell trying to sneak into his neighborhood at times. Nothing in two. The runner stays put, and there's a bunt, which you can do at 2 strikes. He slipped coming out of the box. Terdoslavich, as a result, able to cut him down. Lattimore bunting with 2 strikes, dropped it down in fair territory, gets Russell to third. But unfortunately for Lattimore, he slipped and almost went down about 3 or 4 steps into his dash toward first base, and that was the reason the Barnstormers were able to get him.
I tell you what, he's probably safe if he doesn't slip there, but the fortune's going to the Barnstormers with obviously the conditions after the rainstorm. I think the field has actually dried out pretty nice after what we got hammered with, but you can see some evidence there that it's still a bit wet out and didn't get out of the box quite as well as Lattimore probably had hoped he would.
The batter is Hector Gomez, the third baseman. He takes a nice-looking breaking ball from Albaladeo for a strike at his 0-1. The last time Albaladeo faced the Rockers, he had a no-hitter for 5 innings.
And then it just kind of came apart a little bit?
In the bottom of the 6th, that fell apart. He gave up 4 runs there. 3 of them were unearned. The inning started with an error. He gave up 3 doubles and a single after that.
That's unfortunate because you're cruising and then all of a sudden the wheels fall off. Here's an opportunity, though. Only 1 run in, a chance with 2 outs here to get out of this with limited damage. This is a big at-bat for both teams here, especially for Lancaster, who's looking to pick up that first win after the All-Star break. They just need something to kind of kickstart the engine in a positive direction here.
1 ball, 1 strike. Russell at third with 2 outs. This is a big batter. You don't want to give up multiple runs in the first inning. You get out of this with just 1. It's not that big of a deal because you know it could have been a lot worse. So psychologically in the Barnstormers dugout, hey, we're only down by 1. The offense is going to be much more engaged than trying to, again, make up a 4 or 5 run deficit early. It's tough when the guys aren't hitting well, and then you add that into the psychological mix. It can be defeating. It can be demoralizing. To Gomez, here's the 2-1. Foul straight back. And a 2-2 count.
Looked like the bats came alive a little bit in game 1 in response to the Rockers. Some home runs from the Stormers there by Casey Hobson and some of the other, and Gindel. But in game 2, just nothing cooking for you guys with those 2 hits and that 2-0 loss at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then obviously the turnaround here to try and salvage something.
2-2 on Gomez. Breaking ball, grounded to third, handled by Terdoslavich. And Albaladeo has pitched his way out of deeper trouble in the inning. They pick up a run on 2 hits. They leave 1. The Barnstormers trail by just 1 as we go to the bottom half of the first. The Barnstormers trying a bit of a different look to the lineup. Andrew Applin with the opportunity to bat as the cleanup hitter tonight. He did hit a home run last night. He has 2 here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. A left-handed batter. It's worth giving him the opportunity to be in that cleanup spot. And the standard look for the defense of the High Point Rockers. We haven't seen a lot different out of them. Occasionally Frank Nigro catches. Occasionally Giovanni Alfonso plays shortstop and Tyler Leitendorf moves over to second base. But that's pretty much what Jamie Keefe's been going with for the last few weeks. Richie Schaefer, one of his bigger bats, is actually on the shelf right now.
Have they had many players signed to affiliated ball?
They have had a handful. Their starting catcher earlier in the year, Brett Austin, one of the guys who has gone. Quincy Lattimore left for Mexico and came back. And there have been a couple of others that have gone as well. You look back to the opening series of the season, Dante Bichette Jr. has been acquired. On the hill is Dominic DeMasi, and the last time the Barnstormers faced him, he was awfully good. He gave up just 5 hits, 1 earned run in 8 1/3 innings, struck out 9, and matched up against Albie that night as well. And he had a 1-hitter through the first 5 innings. So that was a great pitcher's duel through the first 5.
Yeah, and then it all kind of fell apart.
DeMasi hit hard by York his last time out, coming out of the All-Star break. Facing Michael Martinez, leading off for the Barnstormers. And the right-hander is wide with it. Ball 1 and no strikes. DeMasi out of the Cleveland organization. He spent 5 years with the Indians, got to AAA in Columbus, Ohio. 9-game winner in the Tribe system a year ago. The 1-0 delivery right there.
So pretty close to getting up to the big leagues, and then now showing a little bit of that promise here.
He's a product of Valdosta State down in Georgia. Valdosta, which happens to be the hometown of Scott Schumann. Ball 2, high and outside. Martinez with the advantage. The Barnstormers will try to get the run back in a hurry.
I want to see Martinez get on. I want to see this new rule about pickoffs and see how, if it can lend to the advantage of the Stormers. Obviously, Martinez trying to work a walk here.
It's especially noticeable with left-handed pitchers. They have a really difficult time. Now, Asher Tolliver, we watched him for a while in relief in Game 2 last night. He held Sanford pretty well with a variety of step-off moves, sidearm throws.
All right.
That's what left-handers are going to have to do now. They're going to have to be creative.
Sure, and that's something you have to come out and work on, too. You know, normally you don't have to work on your pickoff move. You've been doing it since high school, but, you know, with the rule changes and everything they're doing with the Atlantic League, got to get out here and get through the motions, right?
Because otherwise, as soon as you lift your right leg as a left-handed pitcher, the guy can take off.
That's a great point, Dave. Yeah, and usually that's your kryptonite because you can freeze guys with that move previously.
Payoff pitch to Martinez, and he'll back away.
I'm sure that rule won't go over well at the majors if it would ever make its way up there, because that takes away anything the lefties can do to keep the runners close.
Ball 4 to Martinez. Nice to get the leadoff man aboard. It's the 12th walk for DeMasi in 26 2/3 innings.
It's a good start for the Lancaster Barnstormers, you know, kind of talking about that, and here we'll get a chance to see how Michael Martinez handles that, and while the pitcher is kind of concentrating on, oh, should I step my foot off, blah, 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 Martinez is kind of showing what he's doing. It gives Caleb Gindle a good pitch to hit here.
Gindle has hurt the Rockers. He's batted .386 with 3 home runs against High Point. One of those home runs last night. Left-handed batter all the way. DeMasi inside. Jones seemed to be crossed up by that, but he handled it.
Gindle second in the league in RBI with 52, so a chance to add to that here with one good swing.
Well, for the longest time, he was on a pace to break Aaron Hur's franchise RBI record. Right now, his pace would finish the season with 98. Still a very productive year.
Yeah, I think the Stormers would take that. Of course, Lancaster lost one of their consistent bats in Dan Gamache just recently, so that's for his players to get back, but that's a big hole in his lineup now.
The second base position will be filled by Mercedes when he comes back off the DL. That doesn't replace Gamash's bat.
Hitting, right.
Mercedes is not that kind of a hitter. You look for production out of him about what we're getting out of Michael Martinez, but not a Dan Gamache type. To Gendel 1-1, and ball 2 is upstairs. Damasi having trouble getting the pitches down into the zone.
Lancaster electing not to be aggressive at first base there with Michael Martinez. Perhaps feeling it out here a bit.
The track looks a little bit slow, too.
Yeah, okay.
Not that it affected Cardullo.
Yeah.
He took off right away, and nobody really checked on him.
A leadoff first baseman with the number 65. That is an interesting piece to put in your lineup there, Dave.
Inside to Gendel, and again, Jones had everything he could do to make a play on it.
Well, the control has been an issue here early on for the Massey. I think that's kind of what Ross Peoples is hoping, to just let Gendel get a good pitch here and not screw him up by trying to hit and run or, taking for a steal. The more base runners here early in this game, the better for the Barnstormers to get that positive mojo.
Well, the Barnstormers have not led at the end of a full inning since the All-Star break. They took one lead at Southern Maryland and it immediately got washed out with the steal of first base.
Yikes.
That guy scored, and that was that. 3-2, the count to Gendel. That is how deep this team-wide slump has been.
Well, and we were here the last time the Barnstormers won. It was that Sunday doubleheader for Game 1 against York.
And knocked York out of the playoffs. That was an exciting game.
Yeah.
The team played extremely well, turned 4 double plays, and since then, it's been flat. Payoff to Gendel. That is hammered toward left center field. Racing over on it is Lattimore. He can cut it off in the alley. Gendel will sprint the second and make it with a double as Martinez goes to third.
Nice piece of hitting by Caleb Gendel. Found the gap. Martinez had to hold up. I think had he been able to round second, not stopping for fear that it was going to be caught, he probably scores, but he had to hold up. And then Gendel able to sneak in. That's key. 2 runners now in scoring position, Dave. That's nice. See there, Martinez had to hold up and just couldn't quite get the speed back.
Second and third with nobody out. Gendel with his 17th double of the season. Joe Turdoslavich steps in, and you'd love for him to drive in 2. You've got to count on him to drive in 1. He's knocked in a runner from third base with fewer than 2 outs 58% of the time this year. Bouncer foul. It is nothing in 1.
Got to get a big swing here, Dave. For Lancaster, you've got no outs, runners, and scoring. These next hitters are going to be taking big swings early in the count, trying to knock these guys home any way they can. Once you get more than 1 or 2, then you got to protect.
Applin waiting on deck. Turdoslavich looks at a fastball wide. It is 1-1. But at the very least here, you want a ground ball to the right side, scoring Martinez, getting Gendel to third,
sure,
and let Applin take a shot at the sac fly. You can execute fundamentally to get these 2 runs around and take the lead in the ball game. You don't need the big swing in order to do that.
You don't, but I could see Turdoslavich going for it here.
That ground ball is foul outside the bag at first.
Oh, that was close, Dave.
It hugged the line. In fact, it looked initially foul. Then for a split second, it looked like it was on the fair side of the chalk, but it was clearly foul outside the bag. It was an unusual path that ground ball took.
That would have been a huge hit. Dave scores 2 there. If that stays fair and the Stormers leap into the lead here, that would have been, a nice kick start to this rainy day.
Here's a 1-2. Turdoslavich goes down swinging, and that's exactly what the Barnstormers did not need right there. Now Andrew Applin will need to get a run home.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. You were hoping to put it in play, and you got to get those in play. The pitch before was the one to put in play. It was to the right side.
One thing this ball club did very well for about the first month and a half of the season was hit with runners in scoring position. That has gone by the wayside.
Sure.
The club's gone from over 300 in that category down into the 260s. there's an opportunity at least to pick up a run, and you get the strikeout. Applin stands in, the pitch to Andrew, bounce slowly on the right side. It'll get the run home. They'll just take the out at first base. Applin retired 3 unassisted, but at least it ties the game. 5th run batted in for Andrew. Gindel over to third, but Destin Hood now needs a base hit to drive in the run.
Well, and that's what you were hoping from Turdoslavich, even just the slow roller. I mean, you don't want necessarily the out, but you'll take that run, and it just came one batter too late there, unfortunately.
Gindel's double, the key to the inning. The Barnstormers have battled back to tie things up here in the bottom of the frame. Now you look for a base hit out of Destin. He looks at a fastball for a strike. It's 0-1. He's still trying to get a feel for everything. He came back just before the All-Star break and had a tough first game. He's had a single. He's hit a home run. And there's a bouncer toward the middle, but playing over there was Russell. They'll throw out Hood to end the inning. The Barnstormers do get the run back, however. On one hit, they leave a man, and at the end of one, we're tied at 1. Some residual puddles at Clipper Magazine Stadium. We didn't take a terrible hit here. As bad as that storm looked, when you see a clearly defined edge and green sky, I thought we were in for something really ugly. Instead, for the most part, we got a garden variety thunderstorm, although it did rain quite a bit.
And some lightning, yep.
I understand they got it a lot worse in the southern part of the county. They had tornado warnings issued at one point down in the Little Britain, Corryville, Peach Bottom area.
Looked like we missed the yellow and the oranges on the radar, which is good.
It's Sergi Rosa to lead off the second inning. Rosa had a couple of huge hits last night. A 2-run homer off Reed in game 1, and then he had the only runs batted in game 2. He singled with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the top half of the 4th inning, snuck a ball past Turdoslavich down the third baseline against John Anderson. 0-1 to Rosa. And it is low, a ball and a strike. Rosa has a grand slam this season. He hit it off Vin Mazzaro of the Long Island Ducks in the 8th inning of a ball game.
Pretty good time to do it.
2 is low, 2 balls and a strike. The Rockers have been competitive all year. They're 3-3 in the second half, 44-32 for the season. They lost out on the first half by a game. They had all the tiebreakers too.
That's tough.
But they got knocked out with 2 or 3 days to go.
That's rough.
2-1 delivery.
They seem like a hungry squad first year in the league here, wanting to make a point. Certainly represent North Carolina well.
And in terms of the position players, they're all new to the league. Rosa was a double-A player. He waits the 2-2 from Albaladejo. That is cut on and missed. Second strikeout for Albie. He can still rack them up, but more by a bit of trickery than overpowering stuff. But that was a splitter.
That was nice.
You could see by the reaction. That's been his out pitch. and he could throw it. He's got monstrous hands. I mean, here's Miles Schroeder, another guy who's killed Barnstormers pitching. First pitch in for a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, let's hear what he did yesterday, Dave. I feel like it's a record repeating itself.
Schroeder?
Yeah.
Didn't have a huge night. He was 2 for 7, 2 runs batted in. But he's hitting .395, and he's knocked in 12 in the season series.
.395.
Schroeder, we haven't seen too much of this. Generally, he's played center field against the Barnstormers, but we did see him catch a little bit early in the year. He's played 8 positions at various times for Jamie Keefe this year.
That's a very versatile player right there.
2 and 1.
Wait, how many positions you said?
8. He's done everything as far as I know but pitch.
And Caleb Gindel sometimes checks that box off, so you just never know.
Zach Schenk has also.
That's right. We were here for both of them in the one game.
Not what you plan on, though. 3 and 1 to Schroeder. Barnstormers and Rockers each with that lone tally in the first inning. Each club left the second runner perched at third base. Pretty dead even. Here's a 3-1. Schroeder with a ground ball handled by Hobson. Easy play, 3 unassisted. On the scorecard, 2 outs. Tyler Marenkov will step in.
Nice job to get the ground out there and keep this a pretty simple inning for Lancaster. They need that. They need to be able to take a nice deep breath, get back to the bats, and no funky hops as of yet off of that soggy turf.
Well, the infield was protected through the entire storm,
which was nice.
Except they did pull the tarp maybe 5 minutes earlier than I would have, but I'm not the person in charge. First pitch strike to Marenkov.
Residual drops were falling for about 10-15 minutes.
It was still dripping a bit.
Yeah. Let the grass grow a bit.
But the field handled it well. Clearly weathered the storm. Marenkov gets jammed, pops it up. Hobson will be there in foul territory. Jonathan Albaladeo has retired 6 straight Rockers batters, and we stay tied at 1. It is Bark in the Park night at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Many of our four-legged friends are on hand. It is specifically tonight, they focused on Dobermans. I'm staying in here.
Yeah, I can't go near those guys, unfortunately, with all the allergies that I've been inheriting. But everybody else looks like they're enjoying themselves.
I was absolutely terrified of Dobermans when I was a kid. And then I had a friend ever. Fear. The images of, I guess, World War II films or whatever. They were always mean dogs. And then I met one, and Gretchen was just a sweetheart. If anything, she was a little bit skittish. Casey Hobson leads off here in the second inning. He launched one last night just after the rain delay. That was number 12 for him on the season.
Runners were on for that too, I thought I saw.
3-run jack.
Yeah, he's creeping up there, tied for 5th in the league in home runs. Both him and I think Turdoslavich, are tied. Along with Lattimore, who's in this game, all with 12.
Loose baseball back there. And I'm sure a waterlogged one. Fastball, good for a strike. It's 0-1. It's amazing how Albaladejo and Damasi have almost mirrored each other in this game, but Hobson and the Barnstormers would like. It's 0-2.
Nice pitches there. Went with the speed on the first one, and then a little curve off-speed stuff there to follow it up. Staying away from Casey's power.
Hobson 3 for 43 against High Point. He's had 2 huge home runs against them. And by huge, I mean not just in terms of the game, but I'm talking about in terms of the distance. Hit one of the longest home runs to right field there has been at BB&T Point. Last I knew, he was the only guy to hit the scoreboard there.
Nice.
1-2 pitch taken away. Damasi and Hobson are equal now at 2-2.
Hobson knows they're playing this chess game with him. Stay away from the inside pitch. Where, by the way, when he hit the home run last night, do you remember where the pitch was thrown? Was it inside, or did he muscle an outside pitch out?
It seemed to me there was a very good possibility he got a lot of the play. He hammered at the right center. 2-2 pitch, and that is drilled but foul.
A lot like that, Dave.
Out to the Subaru outdoor experience, and part of that experience was a foul ball whistled out there.
Yeah, you got to be paying attention out there.
2-2.
That got a lot of the plate there, Dave. A mistake pitch, perhaps. Hobson would love that back.
Damasi from East Meadow, New York originally. Working 2-2 to Hobson. Breaking ball got him. Second strikeout for Dominic Damasi, and he is a big strikeout guy. That's 33 for him now in 28 innings on the season. Bottom fell out of it. Josh Bell will come to the plate.
That's a nice off-speed curve there. And it follows up that fastball that Hobson was on top of, and so they decided to go a little change of speed and sat him down.
Bell is batting for the first time since last Friday night. He's transitioning back to being a full-time coach. Looking at a pitch inside and low. Ball 1, no strikes. 4 in a row set down by Damasi since the Gindle double. Albaladejo's retired the last 6. Get 1-1. Albaladejo has retired the last 6 since a 1-out double. Or rather, not a 1-out double, but a double by the second batter.
They both settled
in the
down
opening inning.
Nicely on each side here.
Bell forced off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Parker Morin, the catcher, is due next.
Fastball inside, chased Bell off the plate. Wouldn't be shocked to see them go away here.
It's amazing that a pitch hasn't gotten away from Jones. He has handled all those pitches inside, lunging after them. 2-1, soft line drive, and the diving try by Leydendorf comes up just short. Bell is on with a 1-out single.
I'll tell you what, at first I thought he tattooed that, and then the longer you watch the shortstop track on that, you're thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to catch this. And then it just got to the outfield. A nice effort there.
Leydendorf got some distance on the slide.
Hey, but a base runner, Lancaster needs that, so they will take it anyway.
Parker Moore into the plate, left-handed batting catcher, down to 275. Even the catchers who have been combined batting over 300 most of the season have started to slump a bit. Both Morin and De La Rosa in a little bit of a funk at the plate lately.
Now, Dave, if a ball gets away from the catcher here, we could have a double steal, right? That would be an interesting.
And neither one would get a stolen base.
They wouldn't get a stolen base.
It's not a stolen base. If you take, it's a fielder's choice. The batters are 0 for 1.
They got to change that. That's just not appetizing at all.
They've been working more and a lot down and in with breaking pitches in this series, and Damasi has gone to it both pitches here.
Yeah, that's down towards the shoes. Those are tough for lefties to hit. They do like him inside, but not diving down to the dirt inside.
Sanford waiting on deck. 0-2 pitch. On the way to Morin. Bell takes off, and the pitch is looped out the left, fairly shallow. Lattimore will get to it. And Bell has to turn tail and head back to first. 2 outs. Darian Sanford, the center fielder, will come to the plate.
Yeah, got under that a bit. As Bell had to hit the brakes. A little slippy out there. Maybe trying a bit of a hit and run, perhaps.
Again, it seems whenever the Barnstormers try to do something like that, they hit the ball in the air. The opposite field pop flies have been plaguing this ball club lately, and it's, to me, an indication that the bats are tired, even though they had the 4 days of the All-Star break. Sanford with a swing and a miss against Damasi.
He was really choked up on that swing, Dave. Looked like he was trying to just make contact.
Well, he does that from the left side of the plate, typically anyhow.
Okay.
Speed is his game.
They got third base really in far here.
He's going to line a bunt foul. Touches down before Cardullo could get to it. 2 strikes the count. But he could bunt again.
I was just going to say to you, that's another rule here where you get an additional chance to bunt with 2 strikes, and it doesn't count as a strike. Or, you know, it's the Atlantic League rule.
Exactly.
I think what Sanford was trying to do there was his patented get it by the pitcher and outrace, you know, somebody for the throw, right?
That's the perfect drag bunt.
Mm-hmm.
You actually want to outrun the baseball.
Okay.
If you can get out ahead of the baseball before somebody fields it, you're in good shape.
And he's done it a couple times. I've seen him do it at least once. You probably plenty more times.
Several times.
Mm-hmm. Only a select few baseball players can pull that off.
He squared to Bunny, offered and missed. And that is a strikeout. No runs on a hit, no errors, and 1 left. That is strikeout number 3 for Damasi. We'll go to the 3rd, tied at 1. We had a rain delay of about 1 hour, 20 minutes before we could get play underway tonight. And perhaps purely coincidentally, both teams with a run, 2 hits, no errors, to honor our 1 hour, 20-minute rain delay.
Listen to you. Always finding those details. Had some entertainment during it. The workers here racing on the tarps, getting some tarp slides in, trying to keep the fans' spirits up.
And we had a good crowd initially. I think some folks tired of waiting through the rain delay, but 51-27 tonight. I know we had a great pre-sale.
Well, it was Blue Ridge night at the park. So
called strike, hence your first pitch.
Yeah, it was fun to get out there. I think that's been a few years since I've gotten to do that. Didn't bounce it, didn't hit anyone. That's the goal.
And that's all you ask for. I trust Granitz was the catcher. I didn't look.
I didn't see who it was.
Bouncer foul. He does it most nights, unless he's starting. Matthew Jones joining the Rockers. His first game was June the 14th. Former catcher in the Arizona system.
Oh, that was a nice pitch.
Well, it's exactly where Albie wanted it. You're not going to get hurt down there unless Wellington Dotel's batting, and then who knows?
Well, then you don't throw that pitch against Dotel.
Well, you can't predict Dotel. Popped up, first base side, coming over Morin and Hobson. Neither one has a play. Jones remains alive. Wellington Dotel's fun to watch because he is so unpredictable. He might homer on a pitch off his shoe tops and then take one right down the middle for a strike. You'd never know.
Sounds like Vlad Guerrero
He
a
is,
little bit.
he is Vlad Guerrero in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he was fun to watch in the 90s. Just swinging at balls out of the zone and yet still hitting triples and doubles and home runs.
When I was a kid, there was a catcher for the A's and the Pirates by the name of Manny Sanguillen who was like that. Swing and a miss. Who was once traded for a manager. Third strikeout for Albaladejo. It was Chuck Tanner, I think.
I know the Sanguillen name for sure.
7 in a row set down by Albaladejo.
That was a nice pitch. Off speed, breaking ball. Looks like he's getting more comfortable as the minutes and innings go on here, Dave. Threw it again.
He's got vicious downward bite. And that's when Albie can come out and have a great outing, is when he has that work.
I mean, that bounced, and they're still swinging at it. So clearly his stuff working. We're back to the top of the order here.
Cardullo bats 0-1, takes a ball out the left field. That was a fastball. He was kind of waiting for it. Firing it in as Applin. There may be a play here, and not in time. It was a little off the bag. Cardullo went hard into second base, and he's not getting up too quickly.
I tell you what, he's a hustler. He swings hard, plays hard, and he was out of the box hard there. I mean, this guy is a hustler. Look at him just chugging. Applin has to make a tough throw there. And then, an awkward. Ooh, that could.
Yeah, he went in awkwardly.
You could pop your AC joint there if you're not careful. As Morin was putting the target there for the ball, it looked like he was going to get right down the middle, and that's exactly what Cardullo did.
He went to go into a headfirst slide and pulled up an extra step.
Right.
And then went into it and more or less dove and went around the bag, hooking the bag.
That was awkward. He's really lucky.
He is 2 for 2.
And 2 hard hits, Dave. Just smoking the ball.
Well, he has hurt the Barnstormers so badly, just like Gomez and Schroeder all year.
I might not even throw him a fastball again, to be honest with you.
To the plate and a strike on Russell. It's 0-1. Go ahead run in scoring position for the High Point Rockers. Cardullo keeps doing this for High Point. He can wear number 65 all he wants.
He might put it in the Wall of Honor after the first year.
To Russell, low.
This is where Albie has to kind of dig in here. This is an important part of the game. Tie ball game, but Rockers knocking on the door here. Got to slam it shut.
One and two.
And nice breaking ball. So nice.
We talked about Cardullo and everything he's done against the Barnstormers. You take the numbers against Lancaster out against the other 6 teams in the league, he's kind of having a humdrum season.
What's the stats on that? Do you have?
Well,
next-gen stats.
5 home runs, 30 runs batted in against the rest of the league, and I would imagine the batting average is probably somewhere 250 or below.
Wow.
Against the rest of the league.
Man, just walk him every time.
To Russell, the breaking ball rolled on the left side. Into the hole goes Martinez. He can't hang on to it. And by the fact that it gets away, Cardullo's going to be able to go to third.
Man, he just is such a heads-up player. You know, you're not going to be able to advance there, but as soon as that ball skipped away, he was off to the races for third. You know, terrible hop, in-between hop from Martinez. He tried to backhand it, would have been a tough throw. And then...
It's an infield base hit for Russell.
Jeez.
First and third with 1 out. Now, that is an interesting play, and it goes down simply as an infield base hit, but you could have theoretically there called that a hit and an error, figuring Martinez isn't going to throw out Russell, but by the fact that he didn't keep that ground ball in the infield, he let Cardullo go to third on a delayed basis.
Yeah, that was a bad hop.
It was a tricky bounce.
For sure.
The first and third with 1 out. Leidendorf, the batter, a strikeout victim his first time up.
Oh, there's that step off. This is interesting. You don't, with the new rules, you don't want that runner from first getting to second, but it's going to be tough to hold him.
Curveball there, and strike 1 to Leidendorf.
That was nice. Again, the kind of the off-speed breaking stuff is working great here. It's those fastballs that have been getting knocked hard in this game.
Cardullo and Russell both 2 for 2. Nobody else has reached base.
There's another interesting stat.
And Albaladejo trying to keep it that way. 0-1. Nicely handled by Morin.
They're really concentrating on that runner at first, trying to keep him close. Not let another run get in scoring position here with less than 2 outs. Of course, it takes away your attention to the batter when you're worrying about all that other extra nonsense.
Breaking ball, grounded to third, could be 2. The runner was taking off, though, but the runner from third didn't leave. 5-3. Does anybody else find that play puzzling?
Well, it's right in front of...
Russell grounded out. Russell was on the move. Cardullo didn't break for the plate. So now they got second and third with 2 out.
That's tough.
Why not break for home?
That's right in front of you. You didn't get a good jump. I guess you're assuming there then Terdosilic throws you out at home. Maybe you didn't want to make, you're an important run here still.
But you can get the other runners to second and third still.
Sure.
I think it's worth the risk instead of giving up the easy out. So Lattimore, a strike taken on the inside corner. It's a big second out for Albaladejo. Russell, as we suspected, might be taking off, and he did.
Yeah. Would have been a tough double play.
Well, Terdosilic knew he didn't have a chance to get Russell. Big looping curveball, and he's got Lattimore 0-2. Lattimore tried to bunt his way on with 2 strikes back in the first inning. He was credited with a sacrifice. Generous, I think.
I think so as well. Although he potentially could have been safe had he not slipped, so it almost worked in his favor.
0-2. Albie bounces it. It gets away from Morin. Albie will cover the plate, but it's too late.
I was just thinking that could happen.
A wild pitch brings Cardullo home, and these little mishaps keep occurring.
I was thinking he likes to throw that off-speed stuff in the dirt, and if one of those gets away, we know Cardullo's going to hustle home. Get the all-hustle award in the Atlantic League here.
Cardullo again sliding and awkwardly.
He's getting beat up.
He is going to get hurt by the end of this game, if he doesn't already.
Yeah, he might just have to let him sit the rest of it out here, man. Get the trainer.
He strikes me as the guy you'd like to have with you in the foxhole.
Yeah, for sure.
Lattimore batting 1-2. The wild pitch allows the go-ahead run to score. Albie with a fastball up and in.
It's a bad break for the Barnstormers. Just a free run there for your opponent. Didn't skip away too far, but again, with the hustling of Cardula, you weren't going to throw him out.
Ball looked like it bounced up and hit Morin in the shoulder.
Oh, it was tough the whole way. It hit the dirt way, way out in front of plate.
Ball 3 low.
He's really overthrown. You can hear him working hard on the mound right now.
Sounded like, who's the tennis player?
Kornikova? Was it on a
Chrissy Everett?
Wow.
Didn't she do it too? The
back,
grunt time?
It was more pronounced with Kornikova, I believe, yeah. And Sharapova.
Got him. Swing and a miss the curveball. Alvaladeo with strikeout number 4, but Cardullo and Russell do it again. They produce a run. One man left, and it's 2-1 High Point. Silo making the rounds. High society creature that he is, or she is, or it is.
Yeah.
Silo is everywhere.
Yeah, makes their way around the ballpark. I think she visited with my kids earlier today who were here. So that was nice.
I had a chance to meet your kids.
That's right. They were in here checking out the studio that we have, the view, the beautiful view that we have of the field. Of course, it was pouring down rain and lightning, so they were a little on edge.
But they were concerned about you slipping and falling down there. And I asked them if they would laugh if that happened, and they're like, no. My kids would have been in an uproar if I slipped and fell on the field.
Especially when the video keeps getting played over and over on Facebook and Twitter and all that.
And Blue Ridge 11.
Yep, exactly.
It would have played 6 times by now.
I almost wish I would have done it to give some more content to our social media. Like that one lady that hit the photographer with the first pitch I think it was the Chicago White Sox first pitch.
Martinez taking a strike. He hasn't seen many of them in this game. It's 1-1. He walked and scored in the opening inning. The Barnstormers find themselves down by 1 again.
Yeah, but they can fight back here again. They got the right guy at bat.
1-2.
He had a great at bat to lead off the bottom of the first there. Dave, got around nicely. That run was so important to stay even with this Rockers club. And again, you got to do that again here in this 3rd inning.
Bounced the other way, but handled by Gomez. Pretty smooth fielder is Hector Gomez. Leadoff man is retired in the 3rd inning. 7 of 8, now retired by Demasi. And we'll bring on Gindel, who has one of the 2 hits, a double back in the 1st inning.
That was one in-between hop away from being, Michael Martinez on first base, but he played that well over there at 3rd. Nice spin move, and the easy throw then at that point.
Gomez, at somewhere around 12:45 in the morning, made a spectacular play, diving stop against Joe Terdoslavich, leading off the bottom of the 6th in Game 2 last night. He can pick it over there at the hot corner.
And he's playing really far off, too. It's, on these lefty batters.
And Gindel can hit the ball down the third base line. Caleb will use the entire field on him. Double to left center, his first time up in this game. Left nothing behind in that swing. The count is 1-1.
Wanted to get a big hack at it, try and do some damage there early in the count. Sometimes the bigger hitters will elect to do that.
A lot of the Barnstormers go on to coach and manage in minor league baseball. We've got a long list of those who are in the minor leagues. Of course, Matt LeCroy over at Harrisburg is probably the most well-known out of here. But tonight we talked in the stadium about Mike Jacobs, first baseman DH here in 2016. He's managing the Clinton Lumber Kings in Clinton, Iowa, and the Miami organization, and the list goes on and on and on. I expect Gindel to be on that list someday. Ground ball, right side. Nice hop for Russell to handle. 2 outs here in the third, and Terdoslavich will step in. I expect Albaladejo to be on that list, and there are going to be a number of others.
I look forward to seeing that. Just randomly we'll be covering a game, and they'll pop up, and, as a coach, and that'll be nice. That'll be nice to, say, I saw him play way back when.
Up in Reading over the next couple of years, you could see Brad Bergeson come through. You could see Adam Godwin come through.
All right.
Adams in Lakewood right now. The Bergeson's down in Clearwater. Fouled by Terdoslavich. Damasi has established control of this game. He leads 2-1. He's retired 8 out of 9 batters. Barnstormers got off to a nice start against him with the walk to Martinez, and Gindel with the double to left center field. But very little has happened since.
Just that Josh Bell flare to center field.
Swing and a miss at the powerful fastball. It's 0-2.
High heat right there. Terdoslavich trying to go upstairs to connect. Those last 2 outs have been really nice bounces for the Rockers. I've been noticing, and you kind of commented on that as well.
If Gindel's ground ball had stayed low, Russell probably would have made the play, but it would have been a far more difficult one.
Yeah, it was
that hot made it as easy as pie. Terdoslavich goes down swinging for the second time in the game. That is 4 for Damasi. A 1-2-3 inning for the High Point right-hander, and at the end of 3, 2-1 Rockers. We are through 3 innings of baseball tonight at Clipper Magazine Stadium. It's been a matter of 2 batters for the High Point Rockers, the top 2 in the order. Stephen Cardullo and Michael Russell. Everybody else has been retired by Jonathan Albaladejo, but those guys are 2 for 2, and they produce the 2 runs.
Yeah, the top of that order's been pretty efficient, Dave. 1-2 get on, leadoff guy scores. And again, I've been really impressed. This is my first time to see Cardullo. Just his hustle and also the way he's swinging the bats. He's got to be one of the league leaders there as far as runs scored and hustle plays. Really like what I'm seeing out of him.
Hector Gomez starting off the 4th inning for the Rockers. He grounded out back in the 1st. The delivery, chopped foul. He's down a strike. Gomez has 8 multi-hit games against the Barnstormers in the season series. He had an extra base hit in each of the first 6 games of the season series.
So he loves playing the Barnstormers.
He's been pretty much of a beast. Abladeo's inside. The count works to 1-1. Inside for ball 2, 2-1. We're going to have a guest jump in here momentarily. Man who is an expert in one specific area of baseball history, and that's Negro League baseball. Our good friend Ted Knorr, known him for years, going to tell us the latest going on and the studies of Negro League baseball history. There's a ball lined into left field. Gomez does it again. That is his 20th hit in 50 at-bats in the season series. Wicked line drive base hit. 5 hits now for the High Point Rockers. Sergey Rosa will come to the plate. So, Ted Knorr, you've got your display tonight here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. It's an annual event, one I always look forward to. I know our fans do as well.
Yeah, a little bit of wet weather is getting me out the door a little earlier than I usually am.
Runner goes. The pitch is a strike, though throw by Morin is late. Gomez in at second base. That's his 9th steal. Of course, it's easier to steal these days in the Atlantic League, and we've seen clubs now be 24 out of 25 since the new rules were put into place. The pitchers have to step off to throw to first base, and it gives anybody with any speed some free license. Rosa batting, no balls and a strike. Ted, you showed me something earlier today, and it was an event that never happened, but apparently promoted a home run derby contest between Babe Ruth and Josh Gibson.
Yeah, an artist named Arthur Miller produced the poster, and it's every time I show it, it gets a lot of attention.
What would have happened if the two had ever squared off?
Well, early in Josh's career, I think Babe would have won, and later in Babe's career, I think Josh would have won.
Line drive, that's into left center field. This is going to score a run, I have to believe. Gomez is on the way. The throw will come into second. And now High Point grabs a 3-1 lead here tonight. Back-to-back base hits for the 3rd time in the game for the High Point Rockers. Rosa with his 5th run batted in of the current series.
The poster depicted a contest in Yankee Stadium, of course, and the left-handed hitting Ruth, I think, would have held his own there in any year.
Pulling him down the line. Miles Schroeder, the batter, he grounded out to Hobson, an easy play back in the 2nd inning. High Point scored in 3 of the 4 innings here in game 1, and that ball is rocked to deep right field. Way back it goes, and the walls will not contain it. A 2-run home run for Miles Schroeder. That is his 6th of the year, 4 of them at Lancaster's expense, and now it is a 5-1 ball game here in the 4th inning. It is almost inexplicable to me how about 4 of the guys in this High Point lineup have hit most of their home runs, most of their extra base hits against Barnstormers pitching. But it's true. We've seen it with Cardullo. We've seen it with Schroeder. Gomez, a ton of runs batted in against Lancaster. That ball was just demolished. 2-run shot. It's 5-1 here in the 4th inning. And the Barnstormers' woes continue. Tyler Marenkov will look at a strike. It is 0-1. Barnstormers now, unless they can rally in this game, are looking at their 8th consecutive loss. They have not led at the end of a full inning in that entire stretch, which is really a difficult thing. 0-2 here on Marenkov, who fouled out his first time up. Abladejo to the plate. It's bounced. Ball 1 and 2 strikes. You've got a big convention for Negro League historians coming up next year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, next month,
Next month, okay.
In Detroit, we're putting together a conference that mostly the Detroit folks, but I've been consulting. And you can find it online if you go to Detroit Stars Centennial Conference, and I highly recommend it. 3 days of research presentations, Detroit Tigers game, a visit to the Motown Museum. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, as time goes by, more and more of the players from the Negro Leagues pass on. I mean, I don't imagine there are too many that are still living. But you and some of your colleagues certainly keep the memories alive.
We do our best, and next year is the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues, the founding of them. So there'll be a convention next year, too.
Now, what was the last year of play in the Negro Leagues? It was about 1954, or did it go on later than that?
It went on a little later, 1960 or so. And then the Indianapolis Clowns played up through the 80s.
I do remember them touring, now
Yes.
that you mention it.
Yep.
Called Strength. Albladeo's fan 5. He's given up 7 hits. There have hardly been any balls fielded by the defenders, and we've seen that for the Barnstormers a lot. Ground ball, third base. Terdoslavich, an easy chance. Jones retired for the second out. That brings Cardullo back around. He's 2 for 2 and has scored twice.
Just a comment on the last year. For me, it's 1946, because after that, they existed, but not at a major league level. I firmly believe that before 46, they were a major league.
Well, you look at the numbers they put up, and you look at African-American baseball players over the next 20 years, you've got to believe that it would have been. Ground ball, shortstop. Michael Martinez with the dig and the throw. Cardullo is not retired. The ball eluded the grasp of Hobson over at first base. Ground ball. Martinez to his left. And Hobson mishandled that throw. That's an error to him. I trust that's going to be the ruling on the play. And it keeps it alive for Michael Russell. And these plays, these things keep happening all around the field for this ball club. 2 outs. Cardullo out to lead. Breaking ball misses. It is 1-0. That should have been the third out of the inning. Fastball gets there for strike. If you had to put your finger on your favorite personality, as the runner goes on a hit and run, perfectly executed by Cardullo and Russell, and it will move runners to first and third. 3 for 3 for Michael Russell in the game tonight. If you had to put your finger on your favorite personality in Negro League history, who would that have been?
Well, especially if you talk about people that I've met, Double Duty Radcliffe was quite a character, and he lived to be 102 years old, and he used to pitch the first game of the doubleheader and catch the second.
And you brought him with you tonight.
I did. I have a bust of him right out here, and also a very popular attraction.
Tyler Ladendorf steps in. Runners are at first and third with 2 outs. The inning kept alive on the air. The runner from first goes. Russell steals second easily. 2 stolen bases in this inning, 3 total. I had the opportunity to meet the lady, Mamie Johnson, who played for the Indianapolis Clowns. She was delightful, great stories.
Yeah, and I'll be with one of her ex-competitors, Pedro Sierra, at the convention in Detroit. Mamie was a fan favorite.
We had her as a dinner speaker a couple of times during my time in Bowie. She lived just south of there in Prince George's County, Maryland, and wonderful lady.
She played a little quarterback in high school.
He went on that. down goes Leitendorf for the second time. So Alvaladeo has 6 strikeouts, but in this inning, 3 runs on 4 hits. There was an error, and 2 men stranded. Bottom of the 4th coming up, 5-1 Rockers.
Locally,
Back with you from Clipper Magazine Stadium. Our guest is Ted Knorr, an expert on the history of the Negro Leagues, professional baseball. And Ted, an all-century team was named. You talked about that. And one guy in particular you're really trying to promote because he's the only one of those position players not in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Yeah, they named a 32-person team, and only one player, position player on that team is not in the Hall of Fame. I think he belongs there. His name's Rat Dixon.
It is a 4-run deficit staring at the Barnstormers. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Andrew Applin leading off against Dominic DeMasi, who's trying to win for the second time against Lancaster. Picked up a 6-2 victory at BB&T Point a couple of weeks back. To Applin, a first pitch strike at his 0-1. The night keeps getting better for DeMasi. He's retired 9 of the last 10 batters. 4 of those coming on strikes. Lancaster jumped on him early with a walk and a double from the first 2 batters. Pitch barely misses. Applin batting at 1-1. But the Barnstormers again finding themselves a few runs down. It's been the story of just about every one of these games since the last Lancaster win. Taken for a strike, Applin bats 1 and 2. And you talk to the coaching staff and they're just shaking their heads. They have no explanation for what has happened to this ball club. 6-25 in the last 31, which is the worst streak this franchise has ever gone through. This franchise has a pretty good winning history. And Ross Peoples, the last 2 years, was the winningest manager in the league. 150 wins over the 2 seasons. And this season started poorly. Then there was a little bit of an upswing back in late May and early June. But ever since the trip to Sugar Land a couple of weeks into June, it's been a downhill plunge. And we keep hoping for the bungee cord to yank this team back up, and it just isn't happening. The downward fall continues. 2-2. Applin pops it up toward the middle of the diamond. The second baseman Russell is there, and he dropped the ball. He stepped on second base, lost his balance, and I think lost his view of the baseball. And the Barnstormers will try to take advantage of that bobble by Russell. He stepped on second base, and I think it distracted him. Applin on base. He has 3 steals. We'll see if he tries to take off on DeMasi. Destin Hood digs in. Ball is low, 1-0. Just saw a flash of lightning well beyond the wall in left center field. Generally, when we're seeing lightning out there, we're not in any danger. That would be a storm that would go to the north. Earlier today, we were watching the weather roll in from past the third base seats. That storm wasn't as bad here as I thought it was going to be. Whenever you see the green sky, and we had a touch of that, duck. It wasn't bad here. It was worse in other parts of the county. Southern end of the county got hit pretty hard from what I understand. Massey ready to go. Good. Looks the second strike. It is 1-2. Hobson and Bell to follow in the inning. The Barnstormers will try to turn the error into something here. Applin's not going. Hood stays with it and fouls it off. Is from Mobile, Alabama. And when I mentioned Mobile, Alabama to Ted North, there's a city with a tremendous baseball history.
Certainly, Hank Aaron. Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Willie McCovey.
Okay. And
Satchel Paige.
And Double Duty Radcliffe that we mentioned earlier.
Tremendous baseball history in the city by the bay. 1-2. Well, that ball is hammered to left center field. Sprinting back on it is Schroeder. He's got just enough room to make the catch. Something else that's been happening to the Barnstormers over and over and over again is long flyouts after a leadoff man reaches base. Schroeder was not quite to the track, but he was almost there, probably 380 feet from home. And it's simply an out, and it doesn't advance the runner. Good to see Hood get that kind of a swing in. Look at how dirty Cardullo is. Oh, good heavens. He's going to have to tip the clubbies extra for that. He's been rolling around in the dirt at the bases, sliding here, sliding there. I'm sure he's having fun. But he's gotten a little bit banged up tonight, it's appeared, too. Hobson stands in against DeMassey. Swing and a miss. He's down a strike. It's 0-1. Josh Bell on deck. He had a base hit his first time up. Who's your favorite player of today?
Oh, boy. Probably Josh Bell of the Pirates.
I had just mentioned that our Josh Bell because I thought you might say that. A guy I think Major League Baseball has to market quite a bit more than they have. And I think they're starting to. Now he's leading the National League in runs batted in. They talk about Yelich versus Bellinger for the National League MVP, and obviously they're both having incredible seasons. But Bell isn't that far out of the mix either. He's kind of the third man in the hunt there.
I hope we can keep him in Pittsburgh.
No balls and 2 strikes. On my end, it's Altuve. I'm a big Jose Altuve fan and George Springer. The Astros have kind of won me over. Still a Twins fan primarily, but those two guys have won me over to the Astros a little bit. The 0-2. Stinging line drive foul off the bat of Hobson. He's been through with a few of those the last couple of nights. Applin back to first base. Still at a pretty good gait walking back over there, but not quite the pace at which he had headed towards second. 2 strikes on KC. Barnstormers fortunate to have a runner on here in the 4th inning. Applin takes off. The pitch, check swing, the throw down is not in time. 4th steal for Andrew Applin. The Barnstormers are now 12 for 12 since the new rules were put into place. Their opponents are 14 for 15. Somehow Parker Morin was able to throw out Quincy Lattimore last night, and it took a perfect throw. Guys are getting such incredible jumps on stolen base attempts. Most of the time, the catchers don't even bother to throw. This time, Matt Jones thought he had a chance, and realistically he did. It was fairly close. 1-2. Swing and a miss at the breaking ball. Hobson is gone on strikes for a second time. It'll bring on Bell. 5 strikeouts now for DeMasi, who's got great late break on his stuff, as we've seen from Alba Ladejo tonight as well on several occasions. Albie has struck out 6. It's up to Bell. DeMasi to the plate. Bell starts the bat. They'll appeal, and they've even changed the check swing rules here in the Atlantic League to give a little bit more leeway to the hitters, but I think he checked under the old rules. We'll see. I think so. Ball 1, no strikes to the second baseman, Bell. Old foul on the ground past Troy Steffi. And the count is even at 1-1. High Point with a run in the first, a run in the third, 3 in the fourth, establishing this 5-1 lead. The Barnstormers get the drop pop-up to start the inning, but nobody's been able to back it up. Club 1 for 8 with runners on base in this game. Bell takes a second strike. It's 1-2. And 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. All the analytics people poo-poo that, but it's one of my favorite stats. Just gets a piece of it, this Bell, though painfully so. Continuing at 1-2. When you look at how far off their previous numbers here in the Atlantic League, Hobson and Bell are, and Sanford is, that's a partial explanation for what has happened to this season. Ross Peoples coming over to check in on Bell. Trainer Anya Holmberg is out there as well, checking on JB. That one's smarted. Ross doesn't want to see his chief henchman in that kind of pain either.
I just wanted to say that it's quite an education tonight on the new rules. I was unfamiliar with hardly any of them until I walked in here.
Well, Atlantic League is on the cutting edge of where baseball in general may be going in the future. We've already seen rules that were implemented in this league a few years back that have been taken on by Major League Baseball, perhaps modified a little bit, but limiting the mound visits. I think that the rule that you have to face a minimum of 3 batters when you come in out of the bullpen unless you end an inning, you're going to see that, I think, as quickly as next year. It's not just being used here, it's being used in AA and AAA also. And I think that's a very good rule. It definitely speeds the game up, which is the intent of most of this. The idea is to have more bodies in motion, more balls in play. 2-2 on Bell. Some of it, do I think they maybe pushed the envelope a little bit too far? Yes, I think this pickoff move they need to reconsider. The stolen base counts are just going through the roof. Bell swings and misses. That is 6 for Demasi. Ted, as always, thanks for stopping by, and give my best to double duty and the bunt you have. We're through 4, 5-1 High Point. Jonathan Albaladejo trailing 5-1 as we go to the top of the 5th inning. The 4th was painful. First 3 batters, single, stolen base, RBI base hit, 2-run home run. How about Schroeder? 4 of his 6 home runs have come against Lancaster pitching. 14 of his 31 runs batted in against Lancaster pitching, and that is the part of the story of this season series. High Point has absolutely trashed the Barnstormers this year.
Schroeder cranked that. I mean, nobody in the field even turned to move. It was so hard hit, and it just disappeared into the night out there and somewhere out on the street out there. I mean, he cranked that. And it came at such a bad time. Just added on to that nightmare inning.
It's such a difficult season for these Barnstormers players, especially the guys who have been here, because of what has transpired the last 2 years, with the club being so close to celebrating something, and it's never happened. Smash to the left field corner. Lattimore will go to second, galloping in there with another double. And I'm talking about the John Andersons, Anderson De La Rosas, Darian Sanfords, that have been here now for 3 years in a row. Scott Schumann, you can throw him into the mix. And the club finishing with tied for the best record in the league 2 years ago, not going to the playoffs, getting to the playoffs last year, but not being able to celebrate getting to the playoffs. Alejandro Chacin will start to get ready behind Albaladejo and the Barnstormers bullpen. And everybody came back here with the mission of winning this year. And to have this go on, and it's not through lack of effort, anything you want to start dishing out with the Barnstormers having the bad record. And I know the fans are restless here, but it hurts these guys. I mean, it is just burning inside of them that this is going on a daily basis now.
It was a rough start with the injuries and some of the acquisition issues that you had, and then once you get into the games, the runners in scoring position and the pitching, kind of has gone sideways. And so it has been a very off year, and I'm sure the fans are kind of wondering when that light bulb will flip. Maybe it's not till next year. Who knows?
And it's getting more and more where that might be the case. Can something happen this year? Can this club get a shot in the arm and then all of a sudden it comes together? It's happened for Southern Maryland.
And York's turned it around.
York turned. They were about 13-25, and they just went crazy.
Exactly.
The second half of the first half, they almost caught the Sugarland Skeeters. They ended up missing out ultimately on the tiebreaker. Gomez gets a hold of a breaking ball and drives this to deep left center field. That is past the outfielders and rattling up against the fence. In the score, Lattimore. Gomez will replace him at second base. And it is now 6-1 in favor of High Point as the barrage of extra base hits continues.
That one was rainbowed out to the gap. I thought Sanford might have a shot at it, but it just kind of kept carrying and carrying. And these base runners were just having quite the night.
4 doubles and a home run for High Point. The Sergi Rosa steps in. He has struck out and singled in a run. Like, to see Jonathan Albaladejo roughed up like this. York did it to him a couple of times at Peoples Bank Park last year. Other than that, he was so steady all year. Didn't always get a lot of run support.
Well, similar tonight, 1 run so far on the board. Could have been a few more, but that 3 spot in the 4th inning there hurts.
It's going to be, unless something dramatic happens, it's going to be a tough next couple of months for Ross Peoples, and I think a very difficult off season for him.
I think so. Some decisions, or just kind of stewing over kind of what was?
Decisions, and as you get a look at Ross and his good friend Troy Steffi, the first base coach and baseball operations manager here at Clipper Magazine Stadium, the 2-0 on Rosa is 3-0 now. Because I think in certain ways you have to rethink the way some things have been done, and you're certainly going to have to evaluate the personnel that's here and decide, as you do every year, what you want to keep and what you don't. Taken for a strike by Rosa. It's 3-1, or who you want to keep and who you don't.
Well, sometimes it's also availability too, Dave.
It is availability, but next year, maybe a year, depending on how this season closes out, where you almost have to start just about from scratch. Fouled off by Rosa. We go to 3-2. Exactly how that would take place, you don't know.
Well, you'd have a lot of time in the offseason to think things through, reevaluate the strategy, and see if there's any more contacts you can make with some younger players, some up-and-coming players. Guys like that Darian Sanford, when he flashed onto the scene a few years ago. Really loved that acquisition.
The payoff to Rosa, ground ball, right side. They're still executing the fundamentals. Moving Gomez to third, now with 1 out. That hit and run by Russell and Cardula last inning was a thing of beauty. And here's Schroeder again.
Yeah, you saw the gap open up on the right side with the hit, and it's unfortunate too, because I thought Martinez had Cardula thrown out at first, and that would have gotten them out of the inning.
The ball was dropped by Hobson.
I saw it, and it's just a shame. It's just one of those things where it just doesn't go your way.
Infield drawn in, and there's a line drive base hit by Schroeder as he continues to bang out on his piano against the Barnstormers pitching staff. RBI single, 7-1.
He's got 3 RBI tonight, 2 hits, and just making nice, simple swings too. That wasn't nothing overpowering. As you see Gomez trotting home.
It's going to be it for Albaladejo here tonight. Chassin will be coming into the ball game. High Point with now 11 hits and 7 runs on the evening. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with Alejandro Chassin on the hill. Fans enjoying some of the spoils at Clipper Magazine Stadium, a night out at the ballpark. I hope she's reading one of my stories that I wrote. Or that Joey Greer wrote. And there's always ice. It's still a very warm, muggy night out here. Despite the one storm passing through, we may get a couple more in the wee morning hours.
Well, hopefully we won't be here that late. Although it's...
Yeah, I'd like to get out of here before 5 in the morning, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's 10 o'clock now, and it's the 5th inning, so, we're still in for a couple more here, guys.
Batter is Tyler Marinko. 1 out, 1 on. Chassine's pitch. Past him, a swing and a miss.
Nice fastball that came out there. The gun said that was 82, but that seemed a lot harder than 82-mile-an-hour fastball.
Alvaladeo gave up 11 hits, 7 runs. Schroeder is still his man. He went 4 1/3. Didn't walk anybody. Struck out 6. 0-2 now on Marinko. He's 0 for 2. Chassine, 6-footer from the nation of Venezuela. He's from Maracay. 6 appearances with the Cincinnati Reds a few seasons ago. Outside, 1-2. All this is setting up that changeup. He's got a beauty. Changeup and a slider.
Oh, we've seen fastball, and that nice 2 on his hip there a little bit. You can see it right there.
To the outside corner, the slider got it, strike 3. Marinko is gone. Alvaladio's runner still at first. Chassine starts his evening off nicely.
Right at the knees. Looked like it worked its way right back into the edge of the strike zone. Again, would love to see what the electronic umpires would call that, and just to kind of as a frame reference. But a nice pitch, a nice pitcher's pitch.
We'll soon know.
I'm excited.
Probably next week.
I
think we'll see it used at Long Island this weekend.
I hate to call them robot umps, but I just don't have the right vernacular. What are you guys calling them?
Electronic assisted umpiring.
I don't like that.
That's too long.
The EAPs now. Robot umps.
Robo umps.
Taking over the league.
1-0 the count to Jones. 2 outs now in the top of the 5th. That is away for ball 2, 2-0. The Barnstormers have a mountain to climb again tonight.
They're going to have to get the bats going here, Dave. 2 hits on the night, 1 run scored. You've given the Rockers a 7-1 lead here. A lot of ground to gain.
Fouled out of play. And it is 2-1.
Still a good amount of innings to go, but you got to start stringing together some hits, some good base running, and pushing some runs across.
The Barnstormers put together a promising rally at times in that first game last night after falling behind 9-1, but they really didn't get much closer than 5 runs at any point.
There was a lot of people on base in that game. What was it, 17 hits?
17 for High Point, and they're on the way to that tonight.
They have 11 so
11
far.
In 4 2/3 innings.
This team can hit.
2-2 to Jones. We haven't seen Schroeder depart from first base. That's a pop fly into right center, shallow. Bell will give way to Gindel. Caleb with the catch. Jones retired for the 3rd straight time, as was Marinko, but it's another couple of runs for High Point. 3 hits, 1 left. We're halfway through, and it's 7-1. The High Point Rockers. It's been a steady drumbeat. Last night, tonight, the Barnstormers have not won since the All-Star break. And all along, the talk was the team is just tired. That travel schedule in June, look forward to the second half. Look forward to the second half. And the second half dawned 5 nights ago. The Barnstormers have yet to win a game, and everybody is perplexed. Everybody is troubled. And as I said, there's just that gnawing ache, heartburn almost, inside of these guys. They want to turn it around. They want some W's.
Well, they got to get healthy. You know, they're starting to get players back and adding players, so that's a good step. Got to get that win to kind of get the mojo going in the right direction.
The bullpen can find fun in any night.
That's, yeah.
Brian Harper seems to be leading the way out there. Parker Morin leads off against Dominic DeMasi and takes a strike at his 0-1.
As long as he's not doing balloon animals out there, you know, I think we'll be all right.
Probably recruiting more Vegas Golden Knights fans.
Oh, jeez. No, that's right. He's a Vegas, just like his brother.
Huge. Morin to the gap in left center field. That's down for a base hit. Schroeder will get there and cut it off. Morin's going to dig for 2, and he is going to be thrown out. Anything to try and ignite the ball club, but the Barnstormers get a leadoff base hit and lose the runner. He was out by plenty. Schroeder coming up with another good play.
Well, you got to credit the aggressiveness. First of all, great swing. Smacks it out into the gap, but it didn't go anywhere. It kind of died. Center fielder saw him going and comes up throwing. Second base slow plays it, and then quick gets the tag down. I like the aggressiveness, but just didn't go the Stormers' way.
Darian Sanford looks to strike 0-1. Ordinarily, you make it out on the bases in a situation like that, down by 6 runs, I might have been throwing my chair. But at this point, I understand the move. You're trying to just create some semblance of excitement. 1-1.
I could see exactly what he was doing, Dave.
It's not smart baseball if your team is playing well and you're just having this one game off or a couple games off. But the way the Barnstormers, the way things are going here, they're trying anything to get something ignited. Sanford pulls a ground ball. Oh, look at that hop for Cardullo. Throw to first, and they still get him. How do they get Darian Sanford on that play? How does that ball not get down the first baseline?
That's a great
DeMasi
job.
gets over to cover, and that was close.
Wow.
He did have him.
Bang, bang. Nice job covering from the pitcher, by the way. Nice slow-mo.
Exactly the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And you have so little time to do it when Darian's involved.
And to beat him in a foot race, too, Dave. I know you get a bit of a head start as the pitcher, but still, nice job on defense. Again, that's one of those minor breaks that just don't go the Stormers' way right now this season.
If that ball stays low, they don't get Darian on that play because Cardullo's trying to make that off-balance feed. I don't think they retire him. Is there some way DeMasi is throwing the baseball and whenever the Barnstormers hit it, they get that big third hop that makes it an easier play because we've seen it all night?
We have some beautiful hops at third, second, and now first.
Martinez has walked and grounded out. DeMasi to the plate. That's tagged to right center field and down. Barnstormers with a couple of knocks here in the 5th inning. Their 3rd and 4th of the evening. Caleb Gindel to the plate. He is 1 out of 2. A double and a ground out.
You know, it's a shame that Morin wasn't still on base for a lot of this because he probably would have worked himself at least around to third or touched home at this point.
Or if Morin had stayed at first base, Sanford's ground ball, there would have been a choice there. Throw to second and get Morin. You're never going to double up Darian, or take the play on Darian, who probably would have stolen second. I think that's a run one way or the other.
That was kind of my point.
Beaten foul by Gindel, no balls and a strike. But again, I can't fault Parker Morin in this situation for going for second base there.
Neither do I. Just trying to be aggressive and make something happen, and it was a great fundamental play all around by the Rockers to throw him out.
2 outs with a runner on. 1 strike to Gindel. DeMasi comes back, and Caleb goes the other way again. Hit well, but it's very deep out there. Lattimore retreats, and he'll make the catch on the track. 2 hits and 1 left. We'll go to the 6th. High Point leading 7-1. Barnstormers able to swing the bats in the 5th inning. Nobody had a bat at bat. Sanford's ground ball down the first base line took a nice hop for Stephen Cardullo. A couple of base hits in the inning. Gindel flied out to the warning track and the deep part of the field.
And
still you come up dry.
Yeah, it's just a microcosm of this season, Dave. It's a perfect example of what's been going on.
Barnstormers down by 6 here. It's just so hard to believe this ball club now for 8 games has been outscored 54-15. It's almost impossible to fathom. Before that, the Barnstormers were losing close games.
Their bats were definitely, I remember you telling me that you know, their hitters were in the games. It just was the pitching that needed a kick in the
They might lose 7-6 one game and 2-1 the next, but they were in the games.
Right.
These last 8, nothing has been close at the finish.
Other than the 2-0 last night.
2-0 last night was the closest there'd been. There's Cardullo. Strike 1. He reached on an error last time up, but he's 2 out of 3. 2 runs scored, stolen base.
Yeah. All 3 times he's been on. I mean, he's just a fly in the ointment, Dave. Just you kind of groan when he comes up because you know he's going to have a good at bat.
Cardullo, Gomez, and Schroeder. They have just annihilated the Barnstormers since day one. Leidendorf hasn't been bad either. He hasn't done anything tonight. And now Rose is starting to get in the mix. Foul ball back. It's 1-2.
I wonder how that shoulder's feeling for Cardullo after that hard slide into second in the 3rd inning.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida, played at Florida State.
Nice.
One-time Colorado Rocky, Mr. Cardullo. 1-2, breaking ball, poke foul. He's stuck with that. This guy has fouled off some pretty nice pitches in this series. It set the tone last night. He flicked away barely what I thought was a great 2-2 pitch from Nate Reed leading off the ballgame.
And then hammered the next pitch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's baseball.
1-2, knocked out the center. Here comes Darian. He'll be there. 1 out. 3 in a row retired by Chassin. Michael Russell will come to the plate. Russell owns 3 hits tonight. We saw Cardullo and Leidendorf each with 4 hits in the first game last night. Russell is 3 for 3. Perfect hit and run his last time up. He's also been aboard on an infield single to the hole at shortstop. He's doubled to left center. Takes the breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1.
Nice job getting ahead of the hitters here. Needed that first out. That was clutch.
Fastball runs in.
They're saying it hit him. Or at least he's saying it hit him.
Claiming it got him on the elbow pad.
Let's give it a look. I didn't think it got him.
I didn't think so either.
I don't think home plate umpire agrees either. Yeah, that's something a robot ump can't say.
And that's why you'll still have a plate umpire back there.
For many reasons. One of.
That's one of them.
He's kind of the traffic director now back there.
Foul tips.
Yep.
Check swings.
Plays at the plate.
Balks. Slammed foul down the left field side. A sliding try on the hill comes up short.
Overran it. Oh, that's tough. He ripped that one. Got it. No. Oh, come back. Hopefully he got the ball.
2-2. Russell will take ball 3 off the plate. Full count.
Justine doing a nice job with these batters that he's seen here, the first 4. Keeping them off balance.
The payoff, strike 3 called. Second strikeout for Alejandro Chacin. He's retired 4 in a row.
He likes that down and away at the knees. I think that one might have been a tiny bit off the plate. And I hate to bring up the robot umpires, but they would have given us a clear yes or no on that. But the human umpires here, rung them up. And they will have a little bit of wiggle room, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The umpires have the right to overrule something that is egregiously wrong. Say, for example, a pitch bounces in front of the plate and hops up through the strike zone.
Okay.
The radar system will detect a strike there, but the umpire obviously knows it wasn't.
So it has to be egregious then, not like those minuscule little in and out.
They're not supposed to overrule that.
All right, well, it's good to know.
Swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
For all the fans at home that we're not clued into, all the minutia of these new rules, and you're obviously able to talk to some of these people, it's good to get clarification on everything.
Is once it gets locked in and the players begin to trust it, I think that is going to be the key. Now, they worked with it in York over the weekend, but there were a couple of trouble spots, and it shut down at one point.
Oh, really?
The umpire was calling everything a ball because he wasn't hearing the beep in the ear. And Mr. Viola got himself tossed.
Technology
3-2.
was failing a bit, and I heard Joe Turdoslavich had a bit of an issue with one of the strikes that was called, right?
And I've talked to Brian DeBrouwer, who was the umpire behind the plate in the All-Star game, and he is convinced that pitch was in the zone. He said he would have called it there. Joe is convinced otherwise, as Leidendorf gets on the hit train tonight. That is 12 now for the Rockers. 2 outs and a man aboard. Arguments in perspective, even with the technology in place.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to work out the kinks. That's why they're doing it at the Atlantic League. They've made the agreement. So it'll be an interesting second half to work through all of these new rules.
Different look to Lattimore tonight. Doesn't have the white frame specs on. Ball outside from Chacin. Lattimore technically 1 out of 2 because they awarded him a sacrifice back in the first inning. Hard hit ground ball pulled foul.
Making some
boy.
Good swings. He hit one hard to left last inning. Almost took out one of his teammates.
Now you got the fencing there, but it startled them. That's Rosa. Called second strike on Lattimore.
It's a nice pitch. He really likes that low left away knee-high strike zone that he's getting. And it doesn't look like Lattimore's enjoying it too much. Same place.
Fly ball to right. Gindel with a play. Aces over, gets underneath, and latches on. One hit and one left. We're on our way to the bottom of the sixth. Still all High Point. Barnstormers showed some signs of life at the plate in the fifth inning, but couldn't get anything connected to score an additional run. Ternaslovich, Applin, and Hood will be facing Dominic DeMasi here in the sixth inning. The York Revolution got to DeMasi his last start for 7 runs and a little better than 3 innings. But once again, he is mastered the Barnstormers here tonight.
Well, he's looked pretty solid, especially against Joe Terdoslavich, who has 2 strikeouts in the game and has really looked kind of behind on the curveball that they've been throwing to him. So, you know, got to guard against that here in this at-bat.
Terdoslavich has struck out twice tonight. First time in a big situation back in the first inning. Runners at second and third. Lancaster did manage to get 1 run home there to tie it. Now he pounds the ball to left, slicing away from Lattimore. Quincy Lattimore goes diving, and oh, what a play, turned in by the left fielder.
A nice web gem out there, hustling. It was curving away from him. Had to go down and get it. Nice job by Terdoslavich to go the opposite way, but again, plays being made against Lancaster.
What else can this club do? Lattimore actually almost overran that and went down, made the sliding backhanded grab. Still a slip and slide on the wet outfield grass. Andrew Applin is 0 for 2, almost hit by that.
But again, another hard hit by the Barnstormers. Last 5 or 6 at-batters here have really made good contact.
I like the way the guys are swinging the bats right now.
For sure. Just not falling in or just not quite going their way in the case of Parker Morin.
1-0 to Applin. And he gets ahead 2 balls and no strikes. DeMasi has struck out 6. He has walked only 1. It was the first batter he faced tonight. And pretty much in control. He's pitching with the lead, so he's intent on throwing the ball over the plate for the most part, and that affords the Barnstormers the opportunity to get better swings in.
Well, to be fair, his defense has played really well tonight, Dave. You know, they've gotten some nice hops, but, you know, the Rockers' defense has played pretty spectacularly.
To Applin, 2-2. But DeMasi's not messing around. He's just pumping the ball into the strike zone.
Yep.
And the Barnstormers know that, so they can get locked in a little bit more at the plate than they were the first 4 innings when the game was closer. 2-2. Applin, chopper, the second baseman Russell with an easy opportunity. 2 gone here in the bottom of the 6th. Destin Hood will come to the plate. Hood is 0 for 2.
Just not able to solve the puzzle tonight. Nice big hop again for the second baseman. Keep runners off the base paths. Just keep mowing through the innings here. On the way to a 9-inning game.
Somebody has got to do something big for this ball club sometime soon. We're now 10 outs from the 8th consecutive loss. Swing and a miss by Hood. It's 0-1.
Well, you had the bats going a little bit in that game. We had to come back, game 1 yesterday where the home runs were coming, but the deficit was still so huge that, it's tough to climb out of that.
Yeah, the Barnstormers haven't had a big hit in recent memory when the game was close.
You're kind of talking about the first inning.
You look at the first inning tonight.
Yeah, I feel like that.
0-2. Hood almost hit by DeMasi. It is ball 1 and 2 strikes. Right-hander is having himself another fine game against the Barnstormers. DeMasi, 6'3", 190 pounds. He's only 26. Swing and a miss. Hood is gone on strikes. That's 7 for DeMasi, and nothing across in the bottom of the 6th. We'll go to the 7th. It's still 7-1.
Top of the 7th inning here, Clipper Magazine Stadium. Barnstormers trail at 7-1. 12 hits given up today between Jonathan Abaldejeo and Alejandro Chacin. So third pitcher tonight, Matt Marksberry coming into the ball game for the Stormers. Left-handed pitcher. Looking to quiet down this offensive lineup. But the Rockers, who in the first 2 of 3 games had almost 30 hits. Yeah. Here you see 4-4 record for Marksberry. ERA 6.89, a bit high for your bullpen there, Dave.
Marksberry's pitched very well recently, over the last month or so. He changed his mechanics back to what he was doing so successfully last year. He gets to face Gomez, Rosa, and Schroeder.
Pretty dangerous part of the order here.
Top of the 7th. Barnstormers have held the bottom 2, Marenkov and Jones, to 0 for 6 tonight, but the rest of the club has 12 hits. Marksberry deals. This is popped up. It'll get out of play. 1 strike to Gomez. He has a single, a double, 2-run score, a run batted in, a stolen base. So the top 7 in the batting order. 12 out of 24, if my quick calculation is correct.
Hitting 500.
Fouled off again for a second strike. It's 0-2.
Marksberry pumping strikes in here early, getting well ahead of the batters.
The left-hander from Cincinnati, Matt Marksberry. Former Atlanta Brave and a former Campbell Camel.
I just saw a picture of their turf. Is it actual turf down there?
Maybe. I'm not familiar with the field.
I thought I saw it, yeah. Someone was at a youth camp.
They shared it with the Buse Creek Astros for a couple of years, a franchise that's now moved to Fayetteville.
Look at that face on that high fastball.
Gomez is animated.
Yeah. Plays a nice third base, too, right?
Morin sets the target, the 1-2, ripped to left field, and a leadoff base hit down the line, headed for the corner. Applin will fire into second base. The tag from Bell, and they got him. Andrew Applin is a very sound defensive outfielder, and I love the reaction.
Well, hustling out of the box, going for 2 here, even up 7-1. Nice throw. Look at his eyes, focused. But a nice relay and a good tag there by Josh Bell. Needed one of those to go the way of the Stormers here in this game.
Gomez bidding for his second straight double. He has pulled the ball down the left field line every time tonight.
He's hit it hard.
Turdoslavich got in the way of the first one. Here is Rosa with 1 out, nobody on. Marksberry will deliver, and he misses with it. Ball 1, no strikes. But that was a great play by Applin. A beautiful throw in from left field.
Had to be just on point, all people involved, because you can see Gomez hustling out of the box. 1-2 there.
Ball 2, 2-0.
Off-speed stuff from Marksberry there.
2 balls, no strikes to via Sergi Rosa.
Ooh.
Out to left field, sinking in a hurry, but Applin will be there for out number 2.
That was right down the middle, fastball.
They'll bring on Schroeder, and fortunately for the Barnstormers, batting right-handed at the moment.
And nobody on base. It's another bonus here for Schroeder, who cranked a 2-run homer back in the 4th.
Applin, after making the throw, got him.
Yeah, he's solid.
He liked that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was half of it. You know, a nice job to hustle over there, the spin move, and the good arm, by the way, to make that throw on the fly to Josh Bell at second.
Called strike. It is 0-1 on Schroeder. But I love the animation out there in left field.
Hey.
Up the middle, deflecting off Marksberry. Bell can't get there. I'm not sure if it hit Matt or hit the rubber. But it's a 2-out base hit.
A nice effort from Josh Bell out there at second base. How about the coach laying it on the line?
He will. Josh doesn't leave anything back. It's not in his makeup. Marksberry giving up his second base hit. Schroeder has a 3rd hit tonight. Gomez a 3rd hit tonight. Russell has 3. Up the middle, got through. I think the more I think of it, I don't think it hit Marksberry. I think it hit the mound. Here's Marinko, who's 0 for 3. Foul pop up. Morin gives up on it. It's well off the field of play. Talked about the Barnstormers during this skid currently being outscored 54-15. The ball club during this stretch has 32 hits in what's closing in on 8 full games.
Well, what are the
swing and a miss.
Rockers having the past 3 games?
Yeah,
Got to be
more than that.
Yeah.
And the opponent's total now have 77 hits, so it's 77-28 in the hit department, 54-15 in the runs department.
That's a big disparity, especially when you're struggling. That'll eat you a
The
lot.
0-2, Marinko gives one a ride to left field. Sprinting back on this is Applin. He reaches out and makes the catch. Boy, Andrew Applin with a defensive highlight reel here in the 7th inning. That was a wonderful play. And I wasn't quite sure he had been able to reel that one in, but he did. Take another look at that. What a play on the run for Applin before bouncing off the vinyl.
Playing all 3 outs in that inning.
rocked by the Storm, rocked by the Rockers, and rocked by beautiful first pitch by Chad Landers. But it's been all high point tonight. RBI double for Michael Russell in the first inning. The Barnstormers able to get a run home on a ground out by Andrew Applin. Second run coming across on a wild pitch for the Rockers, and then they started unloading the heavy artillery. An absolute bomb by Miles Schroeder to right field. Made it 5-1 in the fourth inning. We're at the seventh inning stretch. High Point out hitting the Barnstormers by 10 here tonight.
And I feel like they've been doing that pretty much all series here. What is the third game? That first game you guys had last night, and just the 17 hits, and then to kind of come back it up here with 14 more, just shows how well they can swing the bats.
Casey Hobson has struck out twice against DeMasi. Lancaster looking for something to hang their hats on tonight. That's going to get down, but not soon enough. Schroeder with the catch. One pitch, one out in the seventh inning. Josh Bell coming to the plate. Bell 1 for 2. The ball came off Casey's bat. I thought it had a chance to dive out there in center field, but it would not cooperate. 5 outs in a row for Dominic DeMasi.
Yeah, still going strong out there, by the way, Dave. Just looking solid into this seventh inning.
Same kind of effort we saw out of him 2 weeks ago at BB&T Point. He pitched into the ninth. To Bell, outside and low, 1-1.
What a workhorse for them to be able to eat some of those innings.
Slowly bounded foul. Trey Steffi stomping on it over there at first base.
Kick save.
And a beauty.
I think he hurt his foot there. You got to be careful.
One, 2 to Bell. Chops another foul.
Just wasting pitches here. Running that pitch count, by the way, of DeMasi up and up and up. He's got to be up there pretty high.
I've got him at 94.
I'd say that's pretty high. Ooh, that was
1,
an
2.
interesting.
Yeah, he shortened the butt. He could go.
Oh, he's going to.
Josh Bell steals first. He's the first Barnstormer to do it. He squared the bunt. The pitch was in the dirt. Josh Bell is on here in the seventh inning.
Unbelievable.
Coach adapting to the new rules.
Look at him. It takes us a couple seconds.
Oh, I can go. I can go. I can go. Yay! I'm on first base.
Listen, you get on base for your team
We
anyway.
haven't seen anybody break right away on it.
No, but hey, he's on base. You know, regardless of what it does to your average, I think he'll take being on base.
How many people in the crowd are like, what just happened? Why is he on first base? Wasn't that a ball? Did he strike out?
It was a pretty wild ball too, yeah, for that matter.
Here's Parker Morin with 1 out, 1 on. Called strike. It's 0-1. I forgot. I have my own special code for my scorecard. I'm calling it a Z.
Okay, a Z.
A Z.
Okay.
W for walk, K for strikeout, Z for that.
I'm going to write that in here.
Z.
Yep.
Officially, it goes in the book as a fielder's choice, and that makes no sense to me.
No, they're gonna
a
have to
fielder didn't have a choice.
They're going to have to change
Swing
that.
and a miss. It's 0-2.
Yeah.
What choice is there? You throw to first base.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. Define choice.
They'll have to do it as like a wild pitch error walk, something. They'll have to come up with a new term.
And I don't think it should be an at-bat.
And there you go. Maybe that's what it should be, yeah. Similar to a walk.
So, lack of a better term, Z.
Love it.
1 out, 1 on. Bell aboard on a Z.
Well, and he's in the history books now as the first Barnstormer to ever steal first base. Write it down. Trivia.
2 strikes to Parker Moore. And we saw 2 new rules in effect because he squared around a bunt with 2 strikes.
That's right.
And the pitch got away and he ran to first.
I'm going to take my first pitch ball and have him sign that as some memorabilia. See if he'll put the John Hancock on it.
So he takes advantage of 2 new rules.
That's a coach right there.
Morin goes down swinging. Second out of the inning, and it's up to Sanford if the Barnstormers are to take advantage of their first ever Z.
Sanford tried to take advantage of that new bunt rule, and it worked backwards on him, I believe, in the second inning.
Because they said he offered at it.
Which it looked like he did. He could do something similar here.
I want the Barnstormers to score off their Z. 1.
Are you going to have a conversation with Josh Bell, at least?
Box score down after the game.
There you go.
Whenever that is.
I'll give you my first pitch ball. Maybe you can have him sign it.
Second strike to Sanford. It's 0-2.
History-making moment for the Barnstormers. Second stolen base in the history of, and they both have been involving the Lancaster Barnstormers.
And it's not a stolen base. Speaking of stolen bases, Bell just grabbed one.
He's racking up stolen bases. Facetiously.
If they were in fact holding him, which I can't see. We have this like 54-inch screen monitor in here.
Don't mock large TVs.
It's as big as the one I have in my living room at home. Mrs. Voice and I have talked about getting a bigger one, but we don't have a lot of wall space.
Right. Just knock out your chimney or fireplace and put one in there.
No. Bell takes off for third. Sanford with a line drive to second, ending the inning. What else? The Barnstormers get a Z, and they can't even score.
Hey, he was being aggressive, though. Give Josh Bell credit.
I love it. We're going to the 8th. It's 7-1.
Next game here on Blue Ridge 11 will be tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, right back here at Clipper Magazine Stadium, letting you see all 4 games in this series with High Point. Of course, the doubleheader set game last night. A little bit too late for our television viewing audience, but nonetheless, planned on being here for all 4 games. So come on back, last game here before the Stormers head out on a quick road trip to Long Island. We'll be here 7 o'clock, although we are told, Dave, some weather approaches tomorrow.
Well, we've gotten through it last night, we've gotten through it tonight, and now we'll have Scott Schumann taking over here in the 8th inning. And here is something that's painful, and I think it speaks volumes to where the Barnstormers are right now, is that you go to Matt Marksberry and Scott Schumann in the 7th and 8th innings in a game where you're trailing 7-1 because they can't get any work otherwise. They're not out there holding the lead. So that's where you want Marksberry in the 7th inning and Schumann in the 8th, is to hold leads, not mopping up, but to get them work, there's really no other choice. Schumann had a tough outing his last time to the mound, pitching at Southern Maryland the other day, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs and got knocked out of the box, drilled by a line drive, hit him in the midsection.
Oh, he's all right though.
He was fine. He got up. It looked like he got shot. He was down. He was sprawled on the mound, and then all of a sudden he sprang up, almost violently. I mean, it wasn't like he got up slowly. He just like bounced up and ran to the dugout.
He wasn't the one charged with the first ever Z in baseball history, was he?
He was not.
Okay. Who is getting that honor?
It was Chassin.
Oh man, poor guy. Got
Swing and a miss. It's 1-1.
A Z blemish in his career.
And it cost him a blown save. It was a leadoff Z.
Yeah. Tell you what, those next gen stats with the Z's are going to kill you.
High pop up against Schumann. Calling for it is the second baseman Bell, backing up into shallow right center. 1 out here in the top half of the 8th inning. Steven Cardullo, the first baseman, to the plate. Cardullo has a couple of hits, a couple of runs scored, and a very dirty uniform.
I think that's the perfect example, though, of what he gives you. Just hustling all over the place. A tough player. We've seen him take some bumps and bruises tonight, but he's scored twice and been on base 3 times, and it's just a tough out.
I think he's knocked some of the dirt off as this game has gone along. I thought he was dirtier earlier.
Maybe he sprayed himself with some water.
There's the breaking ball for Schumann to start him off with a strike, and it's 0-1. And Scott Schumann has been such a key part of the ball club here the past 2 years, but tried to start this season through 82 pitches and got hurt.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And missed nearly 2 months. There's the fastball that he's known for.
94 on the gun.
0-2, and I guarantee you that's short.
You're giving him a couple extra there?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the example I was talking about with the Stormers getting off to a bad start, and the injuries and just the travel issues that they had with their players. Just didn't quite get out of the gates the way they had anticipated.
In on the hands and foul away. 1 out, nobody on here in the 8th.
Jammed him.
I'm surprised the Barnstormers haven't done something crazy by now, bat burning ritual or just one of those time-honored things to try and.
Well, Butch would have done that, right?
If nothing else, just to have some fun.
Yeah, Butch would have done something. Didn't he stop and throw something out on the side of the road or pick something up? On one of their.
It was the baseball in 2014.
Yeah,
I had forgotten about that.
Well,
yeah,
I love that story because
he picked up a baseball on the side of the road. We had stopped to eat on the way to Somerset. He saw this loose old baseball on the side of the road, picked it up. I mean, it was a stinky old thing, but he held on to it the rest of the year. He believed that was the good luck charm for the season.
Sure.
First trip to Somerset the next year, he tossed it away. Tossed it back where we found it.
Oh, man. Gave one back. Yeah, that was the championship here, 2014.
Oh, what a team that was the last month. Ground ball, shortstop, dug up. Michael Martinez will gun down Cardullo. 2 outs for Schumann, and Michael Russell stepping in.
Nice job here. That ball doesn't come up on Martinez. Has to play it low. The low throw over to Hobson.
It didn't come up on him because it wasn't pitched by DeMasi.
Yeah, there you go.
I swear he's got something on the ball. Yeah, the third bounce will be nice and right to the glove.
That's a infielder's dream, is to get one of those bunny hops.
Russell swings and misses with the slider. It's 0-1. I like the way Schumann's looking out there tonight. Marksbury got knocked around a bit, but Applin saved him.
He did have some hard hits, but again, he was peppering it with fastballs, and this team seems to feast on fastballs.
Russell knocked back off the plate. It's 1-1.
Schumann navigating these hitters here really well. Liked how his pitch selection.
Fastball inside, 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs, nobody on here. We're playing the top of the 8th. We were delayed about an hour and 20 minutes, so we've been playing for roughly 2.5 hours. Topper up the third baseline. It'll kick foul.
Off-speed pitch had him chasing way out in front.
It's quiet. Too quiet.
2-2. Scott Schumann from Valdosta pitching on one side, and Dominic DeMasi from Valdosta State on the other.
I wanted to comment on Schumann's clean jersey there. Incredibly white. We were kind of talking about Cardullo's uniform, the opposite. Oh,
Fastball inside. Oh, he decided not to run for first.
I thought that hit him for a second.
No Z for you.
He might have gotten thrown out, to be honest with you. First Z thrown out, trying to complete the Z.
3-2. I wonder if that calling it a Z will catch on.
I hope so.
Why not?
That would be fantastic. You got to get the word out to your guy over at Somerset or Southern Maryland, the announcer there that caught the foul ball, and then let it organically go from there.
Payoff pitch. Oh, nasty breaking ball. Swung on and missed by Russell. Scott Schumann sets the side down in order. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, still 7-1. Sam Runyon takes over on the hill for Dominic DeMasi. DeMasi giving up 4 hits and a run over 7 innings of work. He walked only 1. It was the first batter he faced. Gave up 8 strikeouts and a Z.
And that walk came back to bite him in that first inning. The Z did not. So what's more valuable, a walk or a Z? They're all both kind of the same thing, honestly. Or should at least count at the same.
There's nothing on the pitcher's line.
That's right.
About giving up that play.
I feel like it should. That's a great point. Like, it should be edited to reflect that you threw a bad pitch. Right? It should go against your whip.
Or similarly, if the catcher whiffs it, it should be a pass ball. It should be an unearned run. Right now, it's an earned run.
Sure. No, yeah, well, again, they're working.
They got to tinker with some things with it.
That's what they're using it for sure. Speaking of the walk that came back to hurt DeMasi, Michael Martinez.
Top of the order to face Runyon here in the 8th inning. Martinez looking at a strike. It is 0-1.